Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. It is Thursday, April the 2nd, 2020, and I'm coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. Brees is down in Orange Beach, Alabama. Brees, what's up, brother?
A lot of sunny weather, just hanging out.
Looks like you're just sitting there right there on the beach. We know that's a facsimile of what's really going on.
Absolutely, it's a facsimile. None of that is going on.
Yes, and for good reason, as people are continuing to social distance. It's a good thing. We're going to keep that up, and hopefully our listeners are doing the same thing. We're going to start tonight as I came in tonight wearing my UK hat. As you guys know, Brees and I are polar opposites when it comes to the teams that we root for. I am a diehard, live, eat, sleep, breathe, Big Blue Nation Kentucky fan, have been my entire life, born and raised in Western Kentucky. And despite Paul being born in Bowling Green, he quickly moved to Tennessee and became a Tennessee fan. His intensity and his fandom for UT is probably equaled only by my fandom of UK. So, Brees, just give us tell us what was your first sort of introduction into UT? Was it somebody in the family that was a big UT fan that kind of indoctrinated you, or what? How did that come about?
You know, I just watching their games on TV when I was young. I used to do a lot of statistics during the basketball games. I remember keeping a notebook and doing my own statistics. Obviously, weren't privy to ESPN at the time, and immediate statistics. I'd always run out to get the newspaper in the morning, but I like to keep up with it. There's a gentleman at church, Wayne Johnson, who took me to my first University of Tennessee game, and when I was about 10, maybe 11, and man, I was hooked walking into Neyland Stadium, and I was like, this is the greatest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a similar sort of story. I mean, growing up in Western Kentucky, basketball is everything. And I can remember sitting in my grandparents' living room listening to Kaywood Ledford call a Kentucky game, and the local NBC affiliate would then air it after the news. So if I wanted to, because you couldn't see it live, you couldn't watch on TV. I think that even a storied program like Kentucky back then was maybe on TV twice a year, on the game of the week or whatever, but they were only on it twice. So you just didn't have the exposure. So you got it other ways. And, I got it by listening to Kaywood Ledford on the radio with my dad, my granddad. And we had a lot of really awesome memories from that, again, I still remember to this day. My first experience with Kentucky basketball happened when I was 7 years old, and actually it was 6 years old, and it was right after they won the 78 championship. We listened to that game, watched that game, and they did a sort of a victory tour around the state of Kentucky, and they came to Murray State, which is about 25 minutes from where I grew up. And my grandfather took me to this game, and I got to see Roby, Givens, James Lee, Kyle Macy, all those guys, the entire 78 championship team, doing their sort of victory tour. They played the Marathon Oilers and beat them by 40. And I've still got the program. The program was $1 back then, and it had all their dudes. I got it framed. It's in my room right now, and it's actually hanging right over my head. But yeah, that was that one. Once you're in, man, you're in. And what's funny about it was, you think you got to go to Neyland Stadium at the age of 10. I didn't get to Rupp Arena until a little over 3 years ago. 2016 was my first trip to see them play at Rupp. Now, I've seen them play plenty of other places. I saw them play Knoxville, Vanderbilt, Georgia, the Omni, the Georgia Dome several times in the tournament, SEC tournament in Nashville, Vanderbilt, and then at the Georgia Dome also. But I've never been to Rupp until Thanksgiving of 2016. My dad and I went up there. That's when, you had De'Aaron Fox, Bam, Monk, those guys. And we had just incredible seats about 3 rows back. actually sat right behind Mrs. Calipari and on the same row as Rex Chapman. And Cliff Hagan was down, a row in front of us. And these are all guys that, Larry Conley, that were playing high school basketball in Kentucky when my dad was playing high school basketball in Kentucky. So it was like his generation of guys. So it's kind of pretty cool. But yeah, it took me a while. It took me a while to get to Rupp, but I finally got there. But I'd always followed him growing up, and then growing up in the shadow of Vanderbilt, which is not really a shadow, in Middle Tennessee. Most everybody in Nashville, you're a UT fan. You're not like there's a small group that's Vanderbilt fans. And most everybody that I went to church with in our little group was they were Tennessee fans. So I was the odd man out. I was always the oddball, being the Kentucky fan, always having to explain myself. Yes, I'm from Kentucky, that sort of thing. So, but that gets us to kind of what I want to talk about tonight was, because we're such diehard, we've got to have our favorites, right? Like everybody's got their favorite guy, whether it's their favorite football player, their favorite basketball player. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to shift it to you. I'm going to let you talk about your favorite Tennessee basketball player and then your favorite Tennessee football player. And I know one person it's not. It's definitely not John Snodgrass.
That guy cost us a lot of games, man.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's not him.
I thought you were going to say Doug Roth.
Either one of those two dudes couldn't. They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't.
So at the time of the heyday of when I was growing up, Dyron Nix.
I knew you were going to say that.
Tony White, but obviously the most favorite of all time is Allan Houston. Just to the point that I was going to name my firstborn son Houston, and
not for you.
Well, I ended up naming him Jordan. So I went from the greatest of Tennessee basketball to the greatest of all time.
Just the greatest. You're just the all-time GOAT.
Yeah. And that my son only played 2 years of rec league basketball, and his career was done. So much for that.
Well, I will tell you this. I did not know that Allan Houston was your all-time favorite, because I knew Dyron Nix was big for you, because he was kind of flamboyant with the the Jerry curl and everything.
Man.
And he could play now. What's interesting, and you need to check this out, and all our listeners, if you're into basketball, especially Kentucky high school basketball and even Tennessee basketball, check out the 1988 Kentucky High School State Championship. Allan Houston from Louisville Ballard is where he went, where his dad was the coach, correct?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, Wade.
They faced off against Clay County of Kentucky, led by none other than Richie Farmer. Okay. Richie Farmer dropped 51 on those dudes. It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's him and Allan Houston going back and forth. It's a great high school basketball game. So if you got, I know you guys got time to check it out, to watch all kinds of stuff now. Now you can go back in the archives. It was played at Freedom Hall. And, Kentucky high school basketball, a little bit different. You've got 16 regions throughout the state, and you compete in the regions. And if you win the region, then you go to the state tournament in Lexington. And it's all classifications. It's kind of like the movie Hoosiers. They still do it that way. So this little school, Clay County, which had this freaking amazing scorer, Richie Farmer. And, dude, you watch him play, and you're like, he is legit, man. You're like, he never did really kind of have not a great career. He had a good career at Kentucky, but it wasn't – he could do whatever he wanted. It was amazing to watch that game. And you could tell that Allan Houston was an NBA talent at that level. But you have to watch that little school, Clay County, hang with Ballard in that state title game just because of one guy. It was pretty cool. So Allan Houston, I give you that. He's definitely an all-timer. His jerseys, I know, hanging in the rafters up there at Pat Summit at the Sun.
Oh, yeah. who many of Tennessee fans sometimes wish she would have been the men's coach.
The men's coach.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we had a string run of not so, or I would say questionable coaching hires in the basketball department.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, and that kind of hurt you. I think they're on the uptick now. I think Rick
yeah.
Barnes is probably the best you're going to get in Knoxville. What
Now,
about What about
now, well,
football?
let me tell you this. I feel like I could guess you're Kentucky basketball player. I mean, straight out of the gate. If you tell me differently, I think you're probably going to lie. But if it's not Rex Chapman, I mean, we got a problem.
Yeah, you know it is. I mean, Rex came in, at the time when he graduated in, I think he came to Kentucky in '88, and that was my senior year in high school. And Kentucky was number one in the nation, and he was just, I think, averaged like 18, 19 points a game. And he was this Kentucky just legend, and always, he only stayed 2 years and went to the NBA. He was the Hornets' first overall pick in their franchise history, and had a good, 10, 12-year career in the NBA. Had some injuries and multiple surgeries, kind of ended his career. And he's a big Twitter guy now. He's made a comeback and is really doing some positive things on Twitter after having a rough time with some addiction issues. But he's turned it around. But, man, I loved watching him play. He was a competitor. And, being a kid from Kentucky, I mean, you root for – that's what every kid in Kentucky wants, is what Rex Chapman did. He played at Apollo in Owensboro, and, that's what you grow up wanting to be. You want to be a Kentucky basketball player and sort of living through Rex Chapman. Yeah, man, just love me some Rex Chapman back in the day. I think me and Josh had I know it was my poster. I had a poster of Rex Chapman in our freshman dorm of a Charlotte, him wearing a Charlotte Hornets uniform with him at Charlotte. And I still have that poster. It hangs in my classroom to this day. Everybody's like, who's Rex Chapman? Now they're starting to know who Rex Chapman is because they follow him on Twitter.
Right.
Which is kind of funny. But, Rex is my boy for sure. For sure.
Hey,
Him and Kyle Macy.
I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, those Charlotte Hornets uniforms, they were a travesty.
Man, they're not any worse than some of these now they got going. I mean,
I know. You're right.
I mean, the freaking Utah Jazz. I mean, come on. They're horrible. They're awful.
They did not. You would think that they would get to pick their color combinations, but the Jazz just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
So
they're bad.
Anyway.
All right. Back
football.
to football. Now, here's where you're going to have some decisions to make. Now,
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go offense and defense.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
That's okay for you.
That works perfectly for me. Here's the thing. I'm going to guess your offensive player. And it's got to be easy because
sure.
I mean, any Tennessee fan, you talking offensive player, you got to go Peyton Manning.
Right.
Now, I hope I'm right.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
That's a no-brainer.
The guy was, a living example of what a slow white guy could do on the football field.
He was incredible.
And the guy was throwing ducks, 50% of the time. I mean, but because he could direct the offense and he just knew where to put the ball before the receivers even turned around, whether it was coming out hot and a good spin, but it was always in the right spot.
Yeah.
And the one play I can remember was the naked bootleg against Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's just enriched in my mind. But obviously Peyton on offense. Defense.
Oh, I got this one too, but go ahead.
Well, you're more than welcome to take a guess.
Reggie White.
Now, obviously Reggie was a little young. I mean, when I was still young, when Reggie was still running around. But the guy that I thought, man, this guy is bad, and that was Al Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the guy that you didn't want to mess with. And
No.
Al Wilson, that guy, it was dirty.
Yeah,
And-
he was nasty, man. Yeah. You definitely didn't want to mess with that dude.
I got to tell you, one of my biggest regrets was it 98 when they were in the championship game versus Florida State, national championship game. It was played in Phoenix.
Yeah.
In the what bowl is it out there now?
Fiesta Bowl.
I should
Fiesta Bowl. Yeah.
Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. And I should have gone.
Yeah.
I should have gone. Because
so now that was
98, right? That's 98.
That wasn't even Peyton. That was a year after Peyton.
That's right. T. Martin. And lo and behold, 22 years later, we haven't even sniffed.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. But just interesting that year, that in '97, his senior year, you remember you and I went to that SEC championship game together.
Yeah, it was against Auburn, right?
Against Auburn. Great game.
Yeah,
great game. I think Tennessee won like 30-29 or something. It was a great game. And we had a great view from where we were sitting, and that was a great time there.
Was that obviously against one of the greatest tight ends in Auburn history? Was Dave Beasley?
It may have been. Yeah.
Remember a walk-on tight end? Went to our church.
Man. Yeah,
great guy.
Yeah, awesome guy. So I think that was before his time, maybe. But all right.
Here we go.
Kentucky football, that's been much maligned over the years, and not a lot of people, shine. Now, recently you've had some folks that have gone on to great things. The Bud Duprees and the guys from last year's team, that were, picked in the first round that are still doing very well. But I got to go back. And I'm going to go back to, Tim Couch. I got to go Tim Couch. I love watching Tim Couch play. Now, I love Lorenzen too.
Yeah.
But Couch kind of lit the fire in Kentucky football again, just because, again, he was a Kentucky product. I remember that, Curry recruited him really hard. Everybody recruited him really hard. Florida wanted him bad. Bama wanted him bad. Stayed at home, played at Kentucky, and had a lot of success. Drafted number 1 overall. Unfortunately, he goes to the new Cleveland Browns, who had nothing, and he just got beat up. Now, interesting story. About 10 years ago, Abby and I are at the SEC tournament at the old Georgia Dome. And we're up in the concourse, and it's the championship game. I think they were playing Florida. And we're about to take our seat, or we had sat down, and then we come back, and we're just getting something to eat. And I see this big dude come, and he's got this short sleeve, just blue T-shirt on. It says UK on it, and he's got a UK hat on, just like I'm wearing right now. And I'm just like, here I am. I got a 12-year-old kid, but here's Tim Couch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I'm like, Abby, because I don't want to go up to him, and be like, hey, hey, can I have your picture taken, whatever? Can I get your autograph? Because that's stupid, I think. And when you're 35 years old, that's dumb. Okay. But I was like, Abby, that's Tim Couch. And of course she's like, who's that? And I was like, just ask him if you can have your picture taken with him. And so I stopped him. I was like, hey, would you mind taking a picture with my daughter? And he's like, sure, no problem. So I got a picture of Abby at age 12 standing in front of him, and he is like just dwarfing her.
Right.
And it's one of those pictures that I will never forget. We got to meet him at the SEC tournament, and I just talked to him for a very brief moment. Just a really nice guy. Awesome. But yeah, offensively, simple. Defensively, man, much maligned defense over the years. It's kind of hard to pick out a defensive guy. Although, I hate to go so recent. But gosh, in the 80s, there just was nobody. In the 90s, there really was nobody on those Tim Couch and Lorenzen teams that really, really stood out. So for me, it's Josh Allen. the fact that how he came in as like a defensive back because of his size, and he just worked, and just developed into this absolute monster game wrecker that he was. And man, I just love his motor, and just his whole demeanor, and his basically he was like a 2-3 star guy coming in, and he worked his way. He was a top 10 pick. So that's why I go with Josh Allen. And he's just and he's unstoppable. He's unblockable. At least he was pretty much his last 2 years at Kentucky. But those are my guys: Tim Couch, Josh Allen, and then of course King Rex. I mean, what do you say about that?
And you know what? The greatest thing about this whole thing is, I think both of us who aspired to be, in the sports broadcasting arena somehow, whether it's bottom of the barrel, not bottom of the barrel, but, high school sports, just enjoying it and doing it as much as we can. And to this famous podcast, it's going to just explode like Barstool Sports. But
yep.
I think both of us had tremendous examples in the universities that we follow. Like, obviously I had John Ward.
Listen, John Ward was one of my first ones. Like, I even have adopted some of his, like, give him 6.
Yeah.
Like I did that, and I've had more people say like, "Oh man, that's awesome," or "I remember hearing that," whatever. And and what's funny is some people think that's a Freeman original, which it's not. I mean, the original give him 6 dude, and so yeah, you're exactly right. Talking about influences within, talk about the Kaywood Ledford, Joe Dean,
oh man,
John Ward.
Absolutely.
Joe Dean, a little string music in Lexington, KY.
Yeah, and I remember
we would do that all the time.
Yeah, you were Joe Dean, I was Tom Hammond, and we would go back and forth, and, we would always try to emulate those guys. And, it was just fun things. And here we sit now, and, we're obviously not great examples for the kids at home, but, man, hopefully that, we're having fun doing it, and that's what it counts.
Yeah, well, I'll go one step above there. I disagree with you there. I think we are pretty good examples of, hey, look, if there's something you really enjoy and you're really passionate about, there are avenues at which you can pursue it. And it doesn't matter if you're 48, 49, 50, 55. It doesn't matter. You can go after that, and you can just kind of show what you can do and show the talents and the passion that you have, whether it's broadcasting, play-by-play, calling games, umpiring games, whatever it is. We're sitting here as proof that older guys, you can do whatever it is you want to do if you have a passion for it. And we've had that passion really our entire lives. And the fact that you kind of were able to do that first, it really kind of got me going and thinking, if I ever can get away from, athletic training and work until 9:30, 10 o'clock every night and free up some time, man, I would love to do that. And, since 2016, I've been blessed enough to be able to do that. And I've got a great color guy, Terry Kemp, my business partner, that we've started doing this. We've had a lot of success, and a lot of people have started following us. And, this is just another avenue for us to talk sports, to talk our passion, and just to reach more people. So again, I think it's something that more people hopefully will start to listen to and start to realize, hey, if there's something that I love, I can go do it. Because look, Paul and Adam did it. They're doing.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at us. I mean, it's like it's not like we're smarter than everybody else, because we definitely aren't. But I mean, it's just we love it so much, and I think it comes out, and people get it. Like, people see that we love it a ton, and that we're just invested in it, and we do. I mean, you've been coaching how many years?
About 25.
25 years. I've been in education for 23 years. Was on the sidelines for almost 20 of that. Man, I've seen a lot, and we both, have different experiences to bring bring to the table. And I think that's what makes this show interesting. I think that's what makes it different. Is we're not just a couple of former college athletes or former professional athletes that are like, talking the same old blah, blah, blah every time you turn on, doesn't matter what it is, First Take, Armchair Quarterback, Monday Morning Quarterback, whatever it is, it's the same stuff. Yeah. It's the same content. We got different stuff, and I think that's what
absolutely
people want, and I think that's what they need right now.
We're doing a podcast, and I got on a Big Papa Smurf shirt. Come on.
Hey,
can't get any better than that.
It doesn't get any more real than that.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal.
Hey, I can't wait for tomorrow, man. Hey, let's do it again tomorrow.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. We're going to send you another episode tomorrow. I'm going to publish this one in just a minute because Brees has got a date. we got to.
I got to get going.
Brees has got to get off the air. He's got another engagement.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
We'll see if it's newsworthy tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But again, guys, thanks for listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. For Paul Brees, this is Adam Freeman. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.